It is their 7th anniversary. Su Yen and his girlfriend, Tang Xuening, are having dinner together in their luxurious home. Su Yen has carefully prepared everything because he plans to propose to her tonight. But instead of receiving the marriage proposal he has dreamed about, Su Yen hears something that completely shatters him. Tang Xuening calmly tells him that she wants to give birth to a child for Lin Jiahui, the man she once loved and who is now seriously ill. She insists that it will only be through IVF and says she will not have a physical relationship with him. Su Yen sits there in disbelief, his hand tightly gripping the engagement ring hidden in his palm. He has spent 7 years loving Tang Xuening, building his career, preparing their future, and believing that tonight would finally be the beginning of their marriage. But now she is asking him to accept another man's child. Su Yen looks at her with pain in his eyes. Su Yen, we've been together for 7 years. We're about to get married. Did you ever think about how I would feel? Tang Xuening becomes angry. She accuses him of caring only about his pride as a man and says he has never truly thought about her feelings. The argument quickly becomes heated. Tang Xuening suddenly stands up and overturns the dining table. The plates crash onto the floor, and the carefully prepared dinner is scattered everywhere. Su Yen remains standing there, his fingers tightly clenched around the engagement ring. Suddenly, Tang Xuening's phone rings. Su Yen lowers his eyes toward the screen. The caller's name is clearly displayed. Darling. Tang Xuening immediately notices that Su Yen has seen it. Her expression changes. She hurriedly grabs the phone and silences the call. Su Yen stares at her, waiting for an explanation. He doesn't even demand the truth. He simply hopes she will say something, even if it is a lie. But Tang Xuening gives him nothing. She grabs her belongings and walks toward the door. Before leaving, she coldly says, Tang Xuening, I'm not coming home tonight. Don't wait for me. The door slams shut. Su Yen stands alone in the silent dining room. His eyes fall onto the engagement ring still resting in his palm. For 7 years, he had believed Tang Xuening was finally going to become his wife. Tonight, for the first time, he realizes that perhaps he has been the only one holding on to that dream. And suddenly, I remembered all those years we had spent together. From university to our careers, Tang Xuening had left me with countless cold and distant backs. Back in college, she had been known as the beautiful, untouchable Ice Queen. She barely ever looked at me. Then, by a strange twist of fate, she confessed her feelings to me. Somehow, the two of us ended up together. Maybe there had been something unexpected behind the beginning of our relationship. But after that, I worked harder and harder. I studied desperately. I pushed myself to improve. I did everything I could because I wanted to become someone worthy of her. I loved her carefully. I loved her humbly. For 7 years, I had given her almost every bit of care I could. And in return, I received only occasional sweet words from her. I had always believed that after all these years, she had finally been moved by my love. But tonight, I realized how wrong I had been. I looked at the table filled with carefully prepared food. The delicious meal suddenly made me feel sick. I walked onto the balcony, lit a cigarette, and stared into the darkness. Then, unexpectedly, I noticed something. Tang Xuening hadn't actually gone far. She was standing outside the villa, looking around as if she were waiting for a car. Her phone was pressed against her ear. Her voice carried faintly through the night. Ah Hui, you have to hold on. I'm coming to the hospital right now. Then her voice became colder. What does Su Yan's opinion have to do with anything? It's my body. I decide what I do with it. He doesn't get to control me. Private car soon pulled up outside. Before getting into it, Tang Xuening looked down at her phone. I stood silently on the balcony, watching her leave. For a moment, I felt something inside me finally break. I took out my phone. There was one person I hadn't contacted in 10 years. Lin Miao Miao, my childhood friend. The girl I had grown up fighting with. The girl who had once been my closest companion. After one huge argument years ago, her entire family had immigrated overseas. We had lost contact. 10 years had passed. Yet that night, I suddenly typed a message to her. You once said that if we were both single at 28, you would marry me. I'm 28. You're unmarried. So, do you dare come back to China and marry me? I stared at the message for a few seconds. Then I pressed send. The moment I did, I froze. A bitter smile appeared on my face. What was I thinking? We hadn't spoken for 10 years. She probably didn't even remember what I looked like anymore. And yet I had just asked her to marry me. I was about to put my phone away when the screen suddenly lit up. A new email notification appeared. There was only one word in the reply. Okay. I stared at that single word. And for the first time that night, something warm spread through my chest. Lin Meow Meow was still the same. Still bold. Still decisive. Still the girl who had never been afraid to do what she wanted. Maybe some things really hadn't changed after all. Or I could collect my thoughts. My phone began ringing. It was an international number. I hesitated for a moment before answering. Hello. There was silence on the other end. Then a familiar voice carefully called my name. Su-Yen. My heart skipped a beat. I hadn't heard that voice in 10 years. Meow meow. She laughed softly. You really came back? I leaned against the balcony railing and looked into the dark night. Why wouldn't I? You suddenly asked me to marry you after disappearing for 10 years. I thought you had finally gone crazy. Despite everything that had happened tonight, I couldn't help smiling. Maybe I really have. She laughed again. That familiar, carefree laugh instantly brought back memories from our childhood. We had grown up together. We fought over the smallest things. Who got the better seat? Who ate the last piece of candy? Who won at video games? Even when we were teenagers, we were constantly arguing. But somehow, whenever I needed someone, she was always there. Until that one year, we had a huge argument. The next thing I knew, her entire family had immigrated overseas, and 10 years had passed. I lowered my voice. Are you really coming back? Didn't you ask me to? I did. Then I'll come back. Her answer was immediate. I smiled bitterly. Don't you want to ask me anything first? Like what? For example, why I'm suddenly asking you to marry me. There was a brief silence. Then she said softly, I know. My smile disappeared. You know? I know about Tang Xuaning. My fingers tightened around the phone. For 7 years, Tang Xuaning had been the center of my life. Everyone who knew me knew that. I heard you have been with her for 7 years. Lin Meow Meow continued. You love her very much, right? I didn't answer immediately, because for the first time that question didn't hurt. Instead, it felt strangely distant, like someone was asking me about a person I used to be. I used to. Meow Meow went quiet. I continued, but not anymore. Are you sure? Yes. My voice was calm. I'm sure. There was another long silence. Then she suddenly asked, So, if I really come back, what do you plan to do? I chuckled. What do you want? I don't know. Then I'll decide. What are you deciding? Everything. She laughed. You're still as bossy as when you were a kid. And you're still as troublesome. Hey! Her annoyed voice made me smile. For the first time in years, my chest didn't feel heavy. I looked down at the engagement ring still lying on the table. The ring I had spent half a year designing for Tang Xuaning. The ring I had once believed would become the beginning of our marriage. Now it suddenly felt like something that belonged to another lifetime. I slowly took it off the table and placed it inside its box. Then I closed the lid. Come back, Meow Meow. She became quiet. I'm waiting for you. This time, her answer was softer. Okay, I'll come back. The call ended. I stood alone on the balcony for a long time. The cold wind blew across my face. But somehow, I didn't feel cold anymore. I had spent 7 years chasing someone who never truly looked back. Tonight, I finally decided to stop. And perhaps without realizing it, I had just opened the door to a completely different life. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. For the first time in 7 years, I didn't have to prepare breakfast for Tang Xuaning. There was no need to check whether she had eaten. No need to remind her to take an umbrella. No need to wonder when she would come home. The silence in the house felt strangely unfamiliar. I walked into the kitchen and looked at the breakfast I had prepared out of habit. 2 cups of coffee, 2 plates. Then I realized there was only one person left who would actually eat here. I quietly put 1 plate away. My phone suddenly vibrated. A message from Lin Meow Meow. I'm going to book my flight today. I stared at the message and smiled. I typed back, "Tell me when you arrive. I'll pick you up." A few seconds later, she replied, "You'd better come. Otherwise, I'll turn around and fly back." I laughed. "Don't worry, I'll be there." Just then, the sound of the front door opening came from behind me. I turned around. Tang Xuaning walked in. She was still wearing yesterday's clothes. Her hair was slightly messy, and there were faint dark circles beneath her eyes. She stopped when she saw me. For some reason, her expression softened. "You're awake." I nodded. "Yeah." She glanced at the kitchen, then at the breakfast on the table. "You made breakfast?" "Habit." Her eyes lingered on me for a moment. Then she sat down. "I haven't eaten yet." I didn't say anything. I simply poured myself a cup of coffee. Tang Xuaning picked up her spoon. After taking a few bites, she suddenly looked at me. "Why aren't you asking where I was last night?" I lowered my eyes toward my phone. "Do I need to?" Her hand stopped. For 7 years, whenever she stayed out all night, I would call her repeatedly. I would ask where she was, whether she was safe, when she would come home. But today, I didn't ask a single question. Tang Xuaning seemed uncomfortable with my silence. Hui was feeling unwell, so I stayed at the hospital. "I know. You know?" I nodded. "You told me." She stared at me. Something about my calm expression seemed to bother her. She put down her spoon. "Su-Yen, are you angry?" I looked at her. "No." That answer came too quickly. Tang Xuaning frowned. "You're acting strange." I smiled faintly. "Maybe I'm just tired." Before she could respond, her phone rang. She looked at the screen. The moment she saw the caller's name, her expression changed. She immediately stood up. "It's the hospital." Then she grabbed her bag. "I need to go." I nodded. "Okay." She walked toward the door, but after taking 2 steps, she suddenly stopped. She turned around and looked at me. "Su-Yen." She hesitated. Then, almost unconsciously, she asked, "When are you planning to propose to me?" My fingers slowly tightened around the coffee cup. The old me would have been overjoyed, but now, my heart was completely calm. I looked at her and answered quietly, "I don't think there will be a proposal anymore." Tang Xuaning froze. For the first time, I saw genuine panic appear in her eyes. Tang Xuaning stood there, staring at me as if she had suddenly stopped understanding my words. "What do you mean?" Her voice was unusually quiet. I put down my coffee. "I mean exactly what I said." She frowned. "But you told me before that you were going to propose." "I was. You even showed me the ring." "Yes." "Then why are you suddenly saying there won't be a proposal?" I looked at her for a few seconds. Because there was no point explaining anymore. The answer was already clear. "You don't need to worry about it." Tang Xuaning's expression became colder. "Su-Yen, what exactly are you trying to say?" "Nothing." I stood up and began clearing the breakfast from the table. "Eat while it's still warm." She didn't move. Instead, she kept staring at me. "You're angry because of Hui?" I paused. Then I shook my head. "No." "Then why?" "Because I finally understood something." "What?" I turned around and looked directly at her. "Forcing someone to love you is pointless." Her expression changed. For some reason, those words seemed to hit her harder than an argument would have. She took a step toward me. "Su-Yen, we've been together for 7 years. I know. You can't just decide everything is over because of one argument." "I didn't." "Then what is this?" I remained silent. Tang Xuaning's eyes slowly reddened. "You've always loved me." "I did." The word "did" made her face turn pale. She seemed to realize that something had genuinely changed. Not anger, not jealousy, not another attempt to make her care. Something much worse. I had stopped expecting anything from her. Her phone suddenly rang again. She glanced at the screen. It was the hospital. Her expression immediately became anxious. "I have to go." She picked up her bag. This time, she didn't wait for my answer. But when she reached the door, she suddenly turned back. "Su-Yen." I looked at her. She hesitated for several seconds before asking, "Are you really not going to propose to me anymore?" I shook my head. "No." She stood frozen. Then she forced a smile. "Fine. Her voice was strangely stiff. "If you don't want to propose, then don't." She opened the door. "But when you calm down, don't regret it." The door closed. I stood quietly in the empty living room. Then I looked at the small box sitting inside the drawer. The engagement ring was still there. I took it out. For 7 years, I had imagined placing that ring on her finger. Now I simply stared at it for a moment before putting it back. My phone vibrated. A message from Lin Miao Miao appeared. "Su-Yen, I booked my flight. I'll arrive tomorrow." I smiled. Then I replied, "I'll pick you up." This time, I wasn't waiting for someone who might eventually choose me. I was going to meet someone who had already chosen me. The following morning, I drove to the airport. I arrived nearly half an hour early. I didn't know why I was nervous. Maybe because 10 years was a very long time. The little girl who used to follow me everywhere was now returning as an adult woman. I stood outside the arrivals hall holding a bouquet of flowers. One passenger after another walked out. Then I saw her. Lin Miao Miao. She was wearing a simple white dress beneath a light-colored coat, with her long hair falling naturally over her shoulders. She pulled a small suitcase behind her and looked around the airport. For a moment, our eyes met. She stopped. So did I. Neither of us spoke. Then she smiled. That familiar smile. The same smile from 10 years ago. She walked toward me, slowly. "Shu-Yan." I nodded. "It's me." She looked at me carefully from head to toe. Then she suddenly laughed. "You really changed." I smiled. "So did you." She tilted her head. "Do I look different?" "Very different." Her smile became brighter. "Then tell me, am I prettier now?" I looked away awkwardly. "You've always been pretty." Her cheeks immediately turned slightly red. Still so bad at compliments. I handed her the flowers. "For you." She accepted them with both hands. "Thank you." For a few seconds, we simply stood there. 10 years had passed. Yet somehow, being beside her didn't feel unfamiliar. Felt like we had only been apart for a short while. She suddenly looked behind me. "Where's your girlfriend?" My smile faded slightly. "She isn't my girlfriend anymore." Lin Miao Miao froze. Her fingers tightened around the flowers. "Really? Really?" She looked at me carefully. "You actually broke up?" "Yes." "Because of what I said?" I shook my head. "No, because I finally understood that some relationships aren't meant to last forever." She remained silent. Then she gently lowered her eyes. "I see." I reached for her suitcase. "Let's go." She didn't move. "Su-Yan." I turned around. She looked at me seriously. "Are you sure about marrying me?" I nodded. "I'm sure." "You're not doing this because you're angry at her?" "No." "You're not using me to make her jealous?" "Never." She stared at me for several seconds. Then she smiled. "Good." She walked over and stood beside me. "Because if I'm going to marry you, I'm not going to be your replacement." I looked at her. "You won't be." She smiled again. "I want to be the person you choose." I nodded. "You are." For the first time, Lin Miao Miao reached out and quietly held my hand. Her palm was warm, and strangely enough, I didn't want to let go. Neither of us noticed that across the street, a black car had stopped. Inside the car, Tang Xuaning was sitting silently. She had come to the airport because she needed to meet a client nearby. But when she glanced toward the arrivals hall, she saw me. And she saw the woman standing beside me. Their hands were tightly intertwined. Tang Xuaning's expression slowly changed. She stared through the car window. Her lips parted slightly. "Who is she?" Tang Xuaning remained inside the car, staring through the window. She had never seen that expression on my face before. It was relaxed, warm, almost gentle. For 7 years, she had rarely seen me look at her that way. Yet now I was looking at another woman like that. The woman beside me suddenly laughed and said something. I leaned closer to hear her. Then she playfully hit my arm. I smiled. Tang Xuaning's fingers slowly tightened around her phone. She couldn't explain why her chest felt so uncomfortable. It was only a woman. I had countless female colleagues and friends. Why did this one feel different? She immediately opened our chat. The last message was still from several days ago. She stared at it for a long time before typing. "Who is she?" Her finger hovered over the send button. After a few seconds, she deleted the message. Why should she ask? I was her boyfriend. She didn't need to explain herself to me every time she met another man. So why should she ask me about another woman? Tang Xuening put her phone down, but her eyes remained fixed on us. At that moment, Lin Miao Miao suddenly looked toward the car. Tang Xuening immediately lowered her head. "Miss, are you okay?" the driver asked. "I'm fine." Her voice sounded unusually cold. "Let's go." The car slowly drove away. But even after leaving the airport, the image of me holding that woman's hand remained in her mind. Meanwhile, I had no idea Tang Xuening had been there. I helped Lin Miao Miao put her luggage into the trunk. She sat beside me and looked around the car. "You still drive this?" "Why? Is there something wrong with it?" "No." She smiled. "I just thought you'd have changed cars by now. I had other things to spend money on." "Like what?" I paused. "Buying a house." "For your ex-girlfriend?" I didn't answer. Lin Miao Miao immediately understood. She reached over and gently squeezed my hand. "You don't have to talk about her." I looked at her.
I'm okay.
"I know." She smiled. "But you don't need to pretend to be okay in front of me." Those simple words made my heart tighten. For 7 years, I had always been the one asking someone else if they were tired, if they were hungry, if they were unhappy. No one had asked me those things for a very long time. I smiled. "Thank you." Lin Miao Miao leaned back in her seat. "Then let's make a deal." "What deal?" "From today onward, you take care of me. And I'll take care of you too." I laughed. "That's fair." She stretched out her little finger. "Promise?" I hooked my finger around hers. "Promise." The car slowly left the airport. Neither of us noticed that 10 years of mischances were quietly coming to an end. And somewhere across the city, Tang Xuening was still staring at the photo she had secretly taken through the car window. She zoomed in. My hand was holding Lin Miao Miao's hand. Her eyes became increasingly complicated. For the first time in 7 years, Tang Xuening felt something she had never seriously considered before. Fear. Fear that I might actually leave her. And even worse, fear that someone else might take the place she had always assumed would belong to her. By the time we reached the hotel, it was already evening. Lin Miao Miao looked out the window at the familiar city lights. 10 years, she murmured. Everything feels familiar, but somehow everything has changed. I parked the car and turned to her. "Are you tired?" "A little." "Then rest tonight. I'll take you around tomorrow." She looked at me with a mischievous smile. "Tomorrow? Aren't you supposed to be busy?" I cleared my schedule. Her expression softened. "For me?" I nodded. "For you." She lowered her eyes, trying to hide the smile on her lips. After getting her luggage out, I walked her into the hotel. Before entering the elevator, she suddenly stopped.
Su Yan.
"What? You really aren't going to regret this." I understood what she meant. Marrying me, leaving everything behind and returning to China. Starting a life with someone she hadn't seen for 10 years. I looked directly into her eyes. "I've regretted a lot of things in my life." I paused. "But marrying you won't be one of them." Lin Miao Miao stared at me for a moment. Then she smiled. "Good." The elevator doors opened. She stepped inside, then suddenly turned around. "By the way." "What?" "I still remember the promise we made when we were 18. I smiled. "The one about getting married if we were both single at 28? She nodded. "Exactly. I remember." Her smile became brighter. "Then don't break your promise." The elevator doors slowly closed. I stood there for a moment watching her disappear. For the first time in years, my heart felt strangely peaceful. But across the city, Tang Xuening was sitting alone in her apartment. The photo she had taken at the airport was still open on her phone. She stared at it again, then again. Finally, she couldn't hold back and called me. The phone rang several times. No answer. She called again. Still nothing. Tang Xuening's brows furrowed. She had never imagined that one day I would ignore her calls. She typed a message. "Where are you?" She waited. No reply. Another message followed. Who was that woman? She stared at the screen. Still nothing. Her chest tightened. She suddenly threw the phone onto the sofa. Why am I even asking him? She tried convincing herself that she didn't care. But a few seconds later, she picked up the phone again. This time, she opened my social media profile. There was a new post. Only one sentence. Some people return after 10 years. Some people leave after 7. Tang Xuaning's face immediately went pale. She read it again and again. Her fingers trembled slightly. 7 years. 10 years. She suddenly understood. The woman at the airport wasn't just an ordinary friend. She was the girl who had disappeared from my life 10 years ago. Lin Miao Miao. Tang Xuaning had heard that name before, but she had never taken it seriously, because she had always believed that no matter who came or went, I would always be there waiting for her. For the first time, that certainty began to collapse. The next morning, I arrived at the hotel early. Lin Miao Miao was already waiting downstairs. When she saw me, she smiled and waved.
Su Yan. I walked over.
You slept well? Not really. Why? She pointed at her suitcase. I was thinking about what kind of wife I should be after we get married. I couldn't help laughing. We haven't even registered yet. And you're already thinking about being a wife? Of course. She looked at me seriously. I've waited 10 years. I don't want to waste another day. Her words made me pause. Then I nodded. Then let's start with breakfast. She laughed. Deal. We went to a small restaurant near the hotel. It wasn't expensive or fancy, but for the first time in years, I didn't feel the need to check my phone every few minutes. I simply sat across from her and listened to her talk about her life overseas. She told me about school, work, her parents, and all the ridiculous things that had happened to her. I laughed more that morning than I had in months. After breakfast, she suddenly asked, Su Yan, what happened between you and Tang Xuaning? My smile faded. It's a long story. I have time. I looked down at my coffee. For 7 years, I thought if I loved her enough, she would eventually love me the same way. I paused. But I was wrong. Lin Miao Miao didn't interrupt. She wanted to help someone she called her childhood friend. She even wanted to have his child. Her expression changed. She asked you to do that? I nodded. And I finally realized something. What? Love shouldn't make you feel like you're competing for your own place in someone's heart. Lin Miao Miao quietly reached across the table and covered my hand. You don't have to compete anymore. I looked at her. She smiled. Because I already chose you. My heart trembled slightly. Before I could answer, my phone suddenly rang. The caller ID displayed.
Tang Xuaning.
Lin Miao Miao glanced at the screen. She didn't say anything. I stared at the name for several seconds. Then I calmly turned the phone face down. Lin Miao Miao raised an eyebrow. You aren't answering? No. Are you sure? Yes. I looked at her. She's part of my past now. The phone continued ringing. Then it stopped. A few seconds later, a message appeared. Su Yan, I need to talk to you. Please come home. I deleted it without replying. Outside the restaurant, the winter sunlight fell softly across the street. Lin Miao Miao stood beside me. Where are we going now? I smiled. To buy something. What? A ring. Her eyes widened. Already? I've waited 7 years for someone who never intended to marry me. I gently took her hand. I don't want to make you wait even one more day. For the first time, Lin Miao Miao's eyes became slightly red. She smiled through her tears. Then let's go. And neither of us noticed the black car parked across the street. Inside it, Tang Xuaning sat motionless. She had come because she wanted to talk to me, but now she had heard every word. Her hands slowly tightened around the steering wheel, especially when she saw me holding Lin Miao Miao's hand. For the first time, Tang Xuaning realized something terrifying. I wasn't trying to make her jealous. I really was moving on. Tang Xuaning sat inside the car for a long time. She watched me and Lin Miao Miao walk into the jewelry store together. Her fingers tightened around the steering wheel. She told herself she was only here to get an explanation. She told herself that I was probably deliberately trying to make her jealous. But deep down, she already knew that wasn't true. A few minutes later, I walked out of the store. There was a small jewelry box in my hand. Lin Miao Miao stood beside me, her face glowing with happiness. Tang Xuaning's heart sank. She remembered the engagement ring I had once prepared for her. I had told her I had designed it myself. I had spent half a year choosing every detail. Back then, she had only glanced at it and casually said, "Let's talk about marriage later." She never knew how long I had waited for that moment. Now, that same man was buying another woman a ring without hesitation. Tang Xuaning suddenly felt a strange pain in her chest. She picked up her phone and called me. This time, I answered. Hello? Hearing my calm voice, Tang Xuaning suddenly didn't know what to say. After several seconds, she finally asked, Where are you? Outside. With her? I glanced at Lin Miao Miao. Yes. There was silence on the other end. Then Tang Xuaning asked quietly, Who is she? My future wife. Those 4 words made Tang Xuaning's face turn completely pale. Future wife? Yes. My voice remained calm. Lin Miao Miao. Tang Xuaning's breathing became heavier. Suyen, are you serious? I've never been more serious. She gripped the phone tightly. You're doing this because you're angry with me, right? No. Then why? I was silent for a moment, because I finally understood that waiting for someone who doesn't love me is meaningless. Tang Xuaning's eyes instantly reddened. Who said I don't love you? I frowned slightly. Xuaning, I love you. Her voice suddenly rose. I've been with you for 7 years. How could you say I don't love you? I closed my eyes briefly. Then why did you ask me to accept you having another man's child? She couldn't answer. I continued quietly. You chose him when you made that decision. And now I've chosen someone else. Tang Xuaning's tears finally fell. Give me another chance. I looked at Lin Miao Miao standing beside me. She wasn't listening to our conversation. She simply waited patiently. That small gesture made my heart feel warm. I shook my head. It's too late.
Su Yan.
I have to go. I ended the call. Tang Xuaning stared at the screen. She didn't chase after me. She couldn't. Because for the first time, she realized that the person who had always been waiting for her was no longer standing behind her. He had already turned around. And this time, he wasn't coming back. 3 days later, Lin Miao Miao and I returned to my apartment. The moment she stepped through the door, she froze. The place had already been completely transformed. The furniture had been rearranged, the old decorations removed, and the empty spaces filled with things she liked. She looked around in surprise. You did all this? I nodded. I wanted our home to feel like ours. Lin Miao Miao walked slowly through the living room. Then she stopped in front of the balcony. The city stretched out beneath us, glowing beneath the evening sky. You still remember that I like this kind of view? I remember a lot of things about you. She turned around and smiled. Then tell me something. What? When did you start liking me? I was stunned for a moment. She immediately laughed. You're hesitating. It's complicated. Then I'll help you remember. She walked closer and raised her hand. Was it when we were children? I shook my head. High school? I hesitated. She narrowed her eyes. So it was. I smiled. Maybe. She crossed her arms. You're terrible at answering questions. Then let me ask you one. What? Why did you keep that letter for 10 years? Her playful expression slowly disappeared. She lowered her eyes. Because it was the only proof that I wasn't imagining everything. I didn't say anything. She gently touched the old envelope in her bag. I waited for you that day. Her voice became quieter. I waited until it was time to leave. But you never came. I thought you had already left. She gave a small, bitter smile. So we both waited for each other. 10 years. I reached out and held her hand. Not anymore. She looked up. No more waiting? No more waiting. I pulled her into my arms. She rested her head against my chest. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then my phone suddenly rang. I glanced at the screen. It was my assistant. Mr. Su, the company documents you asked for have been prepared. There's also something else you need to know. What is it? There was a brief pause. Regarding Tang Xuaning, my expression immediately became cold. Lin Miao Miao noticed the change. What happened? I listened silently. Then my assistant continued. Her company has terminated her employment. She also has a large amount of unpaid medical and credit card debt. I wasn't surprised. I had already cut off everything that connected me to her. But then he added one more sentence. And Mr. Su, she's been looking for you everywhere. I closed my eyes. After 7 years, hearing her name no longer hurt. Don't tell her anything about me. Yes, sir. I ended the call. Lin Miao Miao quietly looked at me. You're worried about her? I shook my head. No. I looked at her and smiled. I'm just making sure my past doesn't interfere with our future. She nodded. Then she suddenly held out her hand. Give me the ring. I raised an eyebrow. Why? Because you bought it for your future wife, didn't you? I opened the jewelry box. Inside was the ring I had chosen for her. I slipped it onto her finger. She stared at it for several seconds. Then she smiled. This time, you're not allowed to take it back. I held her hand tightly. I won't. Outside the window, the evening lights gradually came on. Neither of us knew that, in another part of the city, Tang Xuening was standing alone in the cold night. And this time, she had finally begun to understand the price of losing someone who had loved her for 7 years. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. The sunlight came through the curtains and fell across the bed. Lin Miao Miao was still asleep beside me. Her long hair was scattered across the pillow, and one hand was still holding onto the corner of my shirt. I couldn't help smiling. For 7 years, I had been the one desperately trying to hold on to someone. Now, someone was finally holding on to me. I carefully got out of bed and went into the kitchen. I wanted to make breakfast myself. After all, this was the first morning of our new life together. I had just finished preparing everything when I heard footsteps behind me. Why didn't you wake me? I turned around. Lin Miao Miao was standing at the kitchen entrance, still wearing her pajamas. You were sleeping so peacefully. She walked over and hugged me from behind. Then you should have let me sleep longer. I wanted to make breakfast for you. She rested her chin against my shoulder. Then I'll wash the dishes. No. Why? Because today you're not allowed to do anything. She immediately frowned. Then what am I supposed to do? Be my wife. She froze. A few seconds later, her ears turned red. Who said I'm your wife already? I pointed at the ring on her finger. You did. She looked down at it and smiled. Then I want compensation. What compensation? A honeymoon. I laughed. We haven't even registered our marriage. Then we'll register today. Her answer was so decisive that I couldn't help staring at her. She raised her eyebrows. What? Nothing. I reached out and gently pinched her cheek. Let's go. Where? To get our marriage certificate. Her eyes immediately lit up. Really? Really? She grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the door. But before we could leave, my phone rang. My assistant again. I answered. Mr. Su, there's an urgent problem at the company. What happened? The board wants you to return to the office today. I glanced at Lin Miao Miao. She immediately shook her head. No work today. I smiled. Then I said into the phone. Tell them I'll deal with it tomorrow. But, Mr. Su, today is my wedding registration day. The other end went silent. Then my assistant laughed. Congratulations, Mr. Su. I hung up. Lin Miao Miao looked at me with a satisfied smile. You finally know what's important. I took her hand. I knew a long time ago. I just chose the wrong person. Her smile slowly softened. This time I wouldn't make the same mistake. We walked out together. Neither of us noticed the woman standing across the street. Tang Xuening had been there since early morning. She had come hoping to see me. But when she saw me walking out hand in hand with Lin Miao Miao, she suddenly stopped. Her eyes fell on the ring. The same hand that once held an engagement ring meant for her. Now it was holding another woman's hand. Tang Xuening's lips trembled. She finally understood. There was no place left for her in my future. She wanted to walk over. She wanted to stop me. She wanted to ask why I could smile so naturally at another woman when I had spent 7 years looking at her with that same expression. But her feet wouldn't move. Her eyes remained fixed on the ring on Lin Miao Miao's finger. That ring represented something she had once taken for granted. My promise, my patience, my future, all of it had once belonged to her, and now it belonged to someone else. Tang Xuening lowered her head and laughed bitterly. So it's really over. At that moment, her phone rang. She looked at the caller ID. It was Lin Jiahui. She hesitated before answering. Hello? His voice immediately came through. Xuening. Where are you? Outside. You need to come back to the hospital.
Tang Xuening Frau Wen.
Why? The doctor said my condition isn't stable. I need someone to stay with me. She was silent. In the past, those words would have made her rush to the hospital without hesitation. But today, she simply asked, Can't the nurse stay with you? There was a brief silence. Then Lin Jiahui's voice became displeased. Xuening, what are you talking about? You know I don't want strangers taking care of me. Tang Xuening's expression became complicated. She suddenly remembered how many times she had abandoned me because Lin Jiahui needed her. She remembered the countless nights I had waited alone at home, the meals that had gone cold, the phone calls I had made that she never answered, and the proposal ring I had prepared for her. For the first time, she realized something terrifying. Perhaps I had been lonely for much longer than she knew. Xuening? Lin Jiahui called again. She finally answered. I'll come later. Later? What are you doing now? Tang Xuening looked across the street. I was helping Lin Miao Miao into the car. She lowered her eyes. Nothing. After hanging up, she stood there for several minutes. Then she turned around and walked toward the hospital. But after only a few steps, she stopped. She looked back one last time. The car carrying me and Lin Miao Miao had already disappeared. Meanwhile, inside the car, Lin Miao Miao leaned against my shoulder. Are you nervous? About what? Getting married. I smiled. I've waited 10 years for you. What's there to be nervous about? She lowered her eyes and quietly played with the ring on her finger. Then promise me something. What? If one day you regret marrying me. She didn't finish. I immediately interrupted her. I won't. But, there is no but. I turned toward her. Miao Miao, I've already spent 7 years loving the wrong person. I don't want to waste another day. Her eyes slowly became red. She smiled through her tears. Then I'll make sure you never regret choosing me. I reached over and held her hand. Outside the window, the city continued moving around us. Neither of us knew that this simple morning would become the beginning of a completely different life. And somewhere behind us, Tang Xuening was finally learning what it meant to lose someone forever. The civil affairs office wasn't crowded that morning. Lin Miao Miao sat beside me, her fingers tightly intertwined with mine. She looked calm on the surface, but I could feel her nervousness.
Su Yan.
Once we sign those documents, there's no going back. I looked at her. That's exactly what I want. Her cheeks immediately turned red. The staff member smiled as they looked through our documents. Are you both sure you want to register your marriage? Yes. We answered almost simultaneously. A few minutes later, 2 bright red marriage certificates were placed in front of us. I picked mine up. For a moment, I simply stared at it. 7 years ago, I had imagined countless times what it would feel like to marry Tang Xuening. I had imagined putting a ring on her finger. I had imagined taking wedding photos with her. I had even planned the home we would live in. But none of those dreams ever came true. And now, without any elaborate ceremony, I was married. To the woman who had once been the person I never dared to confess my feelings to. Lin Miao Miao leaned closer. Are you because your first marriage isn't with the person you loved for 7 years. I shook my head. You're wrong. I gently held up our marriage certificate. This is my first real marriage. She stared at me. Then her eyes became slightly red. Before she could say anything, I pulled her into my arms. We're going to build everything from the beginning. Our home, our family, our future, all of it. She hugged me tightly. I believe you. Outside the office, the sunlight was unusually bright. Lin Miao Miao suddenly pulled me toward the street. What are you doing? Taking wedding photos. Right now? Of course. She raised our marriage certificates in front of us and smiled brightly. After waiting 10 years, I'm not wasting a single second. I laughed. Fine. We stood together beneath the sunlight. She leaned against my shoulder. I wrapped my arm around her waist. At the exact same moment, my phone received a message. I glanced down. It was from my assistant. Mr. Su, Tang Xuening has officially been discharged from the hospital. I stared at the message for a few seconds. Then I deleted it. She didn't ask anything else. Instead, she held my hand tighter, and we walked forward together. Behind us was everything I had finally let go of. Ahead of us was the life I had almost given up believing I could have. That evening, Lin Miao Miao and I returned to the old Lin family house. The house hadn't changed much over the years. The familiar courtyard, the old trees, even the stone bench where we used to sit and argue when we were children were still there. Lin Miao Miao pushed open the gate and smiled. Do you remember this place? How could I forget? I looked around. This is where you used to steal my snacks. She immediately protested. I never stole them. You gave them to me. You took them without asking. That still counts as sharing. I laughed. After 10 years apart, somehow being with her felt completely natural. That night, we sat in the courtyard together. She rested her head against my shoulder while I looked up at the stars.
Su-yan,
Do you ever think about what would have happened if we hadn't lost contact? I was silent for a moment. Maybe we would have gotten married years ago. She smiled. Then you would have saved yourself 7 years of suffering. I lowered my eyes. Maybe. But I don't regret it. She looked at me. Why? Because those 7 years taught me exactly what kind of love I don't want. I took her hand. I don't want someone who only remembers me when they need something. I don't want to spend my life begging someone to love me. And I don't want my wife to treat me like an option. Lin Meow Meow's expression softened. Then what do you want? I looked directly into her eyes. You. She immediately looked away, her ears turning red. You're getting better at saying sweet things. I've had a good teacher. Who? You. She smiled. Then she suddenly remembered something and reached into her bag. I have something for you. She pulled out the old, yellowed letter. The same love letter I had written 10 years ago. I stared at it in disbelief. You kept this all these years? Of course. She carefully opened it. The handwriting was young and slightly messy. At the bottom was a sentence I had almost forgotten. If you are willing to wait for me, I'll come back for you. Lin Meow Meow touched the words gently. You came back. I held her hand. And this time I won't leave you waiting again. Before she could answer, her phone suddenly rang. She glanced at the screen. Her smile disappeared. It's my mother. She answered. Mom? A worried voice immediately came through the phone. Meow Meow, come home tomorrow. There's something important we need to discuss. What happened? It's about your marriage. Lin Meow Meow looked at me. Her expression became serious. Mom, didn't we already agree? Her mother's voice hesitated. There's someone else who wants to meet you. Who? There was a long pause. Then her mother quietly said, the Tang family. Lin Meow Meow's expression changed. And for the first time since our marriage registration, the peaceful atmosphere around us disappeared. The moment Lin Meow Meow heard the words Tang family, her expression became complicated. She slowly lowered the phone. I looked at her. What did your mother say? Lin Meow Meow hesitated before answering. She wants me to meet someone from the Tang family tomorrow. I frowned. Why? I don't know. She looked at me carefully. But I have a feeling it has something to do with Tang Xuaning. I remained silent. After everything that had happened, I had no interest in getting involved with that family again. Lin Meow Meow suddenly grabbed my hand.
Su-yan,
If they try to cause trouble between us, I won't listen to them. I looked at her and smiled. I know, but you don't have to worry. I gently squeezed her hand. Whatever they want to say, it has nothing to do with our marriage. She nodded. Then she leaned against my shoulder again. However, neither of us noticed the car that had quietly stopped outside the old house. Inside the car, a woman sat motionless. Her face was pale. Her hands were tightly clenched around a photograph. The woman stared at it for a long time before finally whispering, "So he's really married." The next morning, I accompanied Lin Meow Meow to her family's home. Her parents were already waiting in the living room. The moment they saw us holding hands, both of them smiled. Her mother immediately walked over. Meow Meow, you really didn't tell us anything. She looked at the marriage certificate in her daughter's hand and laughed. You two actually registered your marriage already? Lin Meow Meow nodded proudly. Yes. Her father looked at me for a moment before patting my shoulder. Good. I've known you since you were young. If my daughter chose you, I trust her judgment. I smiled. Uncle, don't worry. I'll take good care of her. Her mother smiled warmly. I know you will. But then her expression became serious. She glanced toward the door. There's just one thing we need to deal with first. The door opened. A middle-aged man walked in. Behind him was a young woman. The moment I saw her face, I froze. Lin Meow Meow's fingers tightened around mine. The woman looked directly at me. Her eyes were cold and exhausted. Then she slowly spoke.
Su-yan,
I didn't expect that the person you married would really be Lin Meow Meow. I recognized that voice immediately. It was Tang Xuening. She had lost almost all the arrogance she once carried. But the moment she looked at me, there was still something complicated in her eyes. Regret, pain, and something that looked dangerously close to jealousy. I calmly looked at her. Why are you here? Tang Xuening's lips trembled slightly. I came to see you. I shook my head. You've already seen me, so you can leave now. Her face turned pale. She clearly hadn't expected such a cold response. Lin Miao Miao stepped closer to me. Tang Xuening noticed the movement. Her eyes dropped to our intertwined hands. For several seconds, she couldn't look away. Then she whispered, "You really don't love me anymore?" I answered without hesitation, "No." Tang Xuening's eyes instantly filled with tears. But this time I didn't feel the urge to comfort her. Because 10 years ago, there had been a girl waiting for me, and I had finally found her. I wasn't going to lose her again. She turns around and leaves. Su Yan watches her walk away but doesn't follow. Later that afternoon, Su Yan receives a call from his assistant. "Mr. Su, there are still some documents regarding Tang Xuening's hospital account that require your signature." Su Yan agrees to handle them one last time. He goes to the hospital. After finishing the paperwork, the moment I stepped out of the hospital, my phone rang. It was Lin Miao Miao. I answered immediately. "Where are you?" Her voice sounded cheerful, but I could hear the worry underneath it. "I just finished at the hospital. I'm on my way back." There was a brief silence. Then she asked softly, "Did you see her again?" I knew exactly who she meant. "No." And I looked back at the hospital entrance. Nothing happened. Lin Miao Miao didn't ask for more. Instead, she simply said, "Then come home." Those 3 words made my heart feel strangely warm. Home. For 7 years, I had thought home meant a place where Tang Xuening would eventually wait for me. Only now did I understand that home was never about a house. It was about the person waiting for you inside. When I returned to the apartment, Lin Miao Miao was standing in the kitchen. She was wearing one of my shirts. Her long hair was tied loosely behind her head, and she was trying to cook while constantly checking her phone. The moment she saw me, she smiled. "You're back." I nodded. "Yeah." She walked over and naturally took my coat from me. "You haven't eaten, have you?" "Not yet." I knew it. She turned around and went back into the kitchen. "Sit down. I'll heat everything up." I stood there quietly watching her. For some reason, my eyes suddenly became a little hot. 7 years with Tang Xuening had taught me what it felt like to beg for someone's attention. But Lin Miao Miao never made me ask. She simply gave it. I walked behind her and gently wrapped my arms around her waist. She froze. Then her ears slowly turned red. "What are you doing?" "Nothing. You're suddenly acting strange." I rested my chin against her shoulder. "I just wanted to hug my wife." She became even redder. "We haven't even officially registered our marriage yet." "Then I'll say it again after we register." Lin Miao Miao lowered her head, hiding her smile. "Fine." For a moment, everything was peaceful. Then her phone suddenly rang. She glanced at the screen. Her expression changed slightly. "It's my mother." She answered the call. After a few seconds, her mother's excited voice came through the speaker. "Miao Miao, your father and I have already chosen a few dates. When are you two coming back?" Lin Miao Miao looked at me. I smiled. "Tell them we can go tomorrow." "Tomorrow? Why wait?" She couldn't hide the happiness in her eyes. "Mom will come tomorrow." After hanging up, she stared at me. "You're really ready?" I nodded. I've already wasted 7 years on someone who never planned a future with me. I gently held her hand. "I don't want to waste another day." Her eyes slowly became moist. She stepped closer and hugged me tightly. "I won't let you regret it." I smiled. "I know." That night, we sat together on the balcony. The city lights stretched endlessly beneath us. Lin Miao Miao leaned against my shoulder. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Then she suddenly asked, "Do you still hate Tang Xuening?" I thought about it carefully. "No." She looked up at me. "Really? I used to think that if I stopped loving her, I would hate her." I looked toward the distant lights. "But now I understand something." "What?" "Sometimes the opposite of love isn't hatred." I looked at her. "It's indifference." Lin Miao Miao gently squeezed my hand. "Then you're finally free." I smiled. Yes. At that exact moment, neither of us knew that across the city, Tang Xuening was sitting alone in the darkness. She was staring at the old photograph she had secretly kept for years. A photograph of us from university. Back then, I was standing beside her with an awkward smile. She was pretending to be annoyed, but the corner of her lips was slightly raised. Tang Xuening slowly touched my face in the photograph. Her eyes filled with tears. For the first time, she finally understood something she had refused to believe. I hadn't suddenly stopped loving her. I had simply loved her until there was nothing left to give. And this time, I wasn't coming back. Tang Xuening remained sitting alone in the darkness. The old photograph was still in her hands. She slowly traced Su Yan's face with her fingertip. 7 years. She had spent 7 years believing that no matter how far she pushed him away, he would eventually come back. She had been wrong. Su Yan hadn't suddenly stopped loving her. He had simply reached the end of what he could give. Tang Xuening lowered the photograph. For the first time, she realized that the silence between them was no longer temporary. He wasn't waiting for her anymore. He wasn't angry. He wasn't trying to make her jealous. He had simply moved on. Her phone suddenly vibrated. She looked down. There was a message from Lin Jiahui. Xuening, where are you? I need you at the hospital. Tang Xuening stared at the message. Normally, she would have answered immediately, but this time she didn't. Her eyes slowly returned to the photograph in her hand. Then she whispered,
Su Yan.
Her voice trembled. Did I really lose you? She closed her eyes. A tear slipped down her cheek. Across the city, Su Yan was sleeping peacefully beside Lin Miao Miao. He had no idea that Tang Xuening was finally beginning to understand what she had lost, and for the first time, she was the one left waiting. Tang Xuening remained standing alone in the dim corridor, watching through the glass as Su Yan stayed beside Lin Miao Miao. The warmth and tenderness in his eyes were something she had once believed belonged to her forever, but now none of it was hers. She slowly lowered her head, tears falling silently onto the hospital floor. For the first time, Tang Xuening finally understood that she had not lost Su Yan today. She had lost him long ago, little by little, every time she chose Lin Jiahui over him. She remembered the countless evenings when Su Yan had waited for her at home with dinner already cold. She remembered how he had held an umbrella over her in the rain, how he had remembered every small preference she had, how he had spent years desperately trying to become the man she would never want to leave. And yet, she had always believed he would remain there, waiting, forgiving, loving her. Now there was nothing left. Tang Xuening wiped her tears and forced herself to turn away from the hospital room. Her footsteps were slow and unsteady as she walked toward the hospital exit. Behind her, the sounds of the hospital continued through the corridor. She stopped for a moment. That sound should have made her feel relieved. Instead, it felt like the final door closing between her and the man she had once taken for granted. She looked back one last time. Through the glass, Su Yan was standing beside Lin Miao Miao, holding her hand. His entire world was there. And Tang Xuening finally realized that she no longer had a place in it. Tang Xuening walked out of the hospital alone. The cold wind hit her face, but she barely reacted. She had nowhere to go. Her parents had already made it clear that she was no longer welcome unless she could continue bringing money into the family. Lin Jiahui was waiting for her to continue helping him. And Su Yan, he had already become someone else's husband. She stood beside the road for a long time watching cars pass by. Suddenly, her phone vibrated. A message from her mother. When are you going to come back? Your brother's tuition is due next week. Tang Xuening stared at the message. A bitter smile appeared on her face. Even now, they weren't asking whether she was okay. They only cared about money. She slowly typed, Mom, I don't have any money anymore. The reply came almost instantly. How can you have no money? Didn't Su Yan leave you the house? Her fingers froze.
Su Yan.
Even her parents still believed she could rely on him. But he had already left everything behind. The house, the money, the 7-year relationship. Everything. Tang Xuening suddenly remembered the night Su Yan left. She had watched him disappear into the snow and had even thought he would come back after cooling down. She had never imagined that would be the last time she saw him as her boyfriend. Her phone slipped from her hand. She crouched beside the roadside and covered her face. For the first time in 7 years, there was no one coming to comfort her. No one would ask whether she had eaten. No one would bring her medicine. No one would wait outside the hospital until she finished. She finally understood something terrifying. She hadn't merely lost Su-yen. She had lost the person who had quietly held her entire life together. And there was no way to get him back. That night, Tang Xuening returned to the small apartment her parents had arranged for her. The room was cold and unfamiliar. She sat alone on the edge of the bed, staring at the wedding ring on her finger. The ring was cheap, but it represented the marriage she had been forced into. She slowly took it off. For some reason, the moment the ring left her finger, she remembered another ring. The engagement ring Su-yen had once prepared for her. 10 flawless pink diamonds surrounding a central diamond. He had spent half a year designing it. She had never even seen it, because at that time, she had been too busy worrying about Lin Jiahui. Tang Xuening opened her phone and searched through her old photos. There were hundreds of pictures of her and Su-yen. University, their first apartment, their first trip together, birthdays, Christmas, ordinary evenings at home. She stopped at one photo. Su-yen was standing behind her in the kitchen, wearing an apron and smiling helplessly while she complained about the food. Back then, she had thought such days would last forever. Her fingers trembled. She opened their old chat. The last message from Su-yen was from weeks ago. Take care of yourself. That was it. No anger. No accusations. No pleading. Just 4 simple words. Tang Xuening stared at them until her vision blurred. She typed, Su-yen, I miss you. Her thumb hovered over the send button. Then she remembered the red exclamation mark that had appeared beside his name. He had blocked her. The message could never reach him. A bitter laugh escaped her lips. For 7 years, she had been the person he could always reach. Now she couldn't even send him a single sentence. Suddenly, her phone rang. It was Lin Jiahui. She stared at the name for several seconds before answering. Xuening, where are you? His voice sounded impatient. Tang Xuening said nothing. I heard you went to the hospital again. Your parents said you're coming back tomorrow. She finally whispered, Lin Jiahui. What? I regret it. There was silence on the other end. I regret leaving him. Lin Jiahui's expression changed. Xuening, what are you talking about? Tang Xuening closed her eyes. I thought he would always wait for me. Her voice cracked, but he didn't. She hung up before he could answer. Then she slowly curled up on the bed, clutching the pillow against her chest. For the first time, she finally allowed herself to cry. And across the city, Su-yen was sleeping peacefully beside Lin Miao Miao and their newborn daughter. He had no idea that the woman who once believed she could never lose him was finally learning what it meant to live without him. The end.